having conversations. Do you wish you hadn't said some of those things a few years back?
My statements in 2020 were ones made amidst a frustration that many New Yorkers held at the murder of George Floyd and the inability to deliver on what Eric Adams, of all people, described as the right for all of us to be able to enjoy safety and justice, that we need not choose between the two. I know that Governor Cuomo is far more comfortable in the past, whether it be...
For the record, hold on, man. We need to have a conversation. I know I don't need to have this conversation with too many of y'all, but I gotta say, man, were you buying any of that? No, seriously, did you buy any of that? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, man. I've been around this politics too long. I can smell bull. Yo, this right here, as soon as he started talking, right here.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Right here.
Having conversations. Do you wish you hadn't said some of those things a few years back?
My statements in...
That is bullshit. Everything that came out of his mouth after that was garbage. This whole thing, man, and I'm just saying, you see it, right? You're not a goofy, right? You saw that, right? As if he's coming from a genuine place. You know, I've been seeing a lot of these lefty people, the so-called progressives, pretend that Zohran is amazing. Yeah, they're pretending that Zohran is on the level, like he's real. What's very interesting, man, is that I've noticed this, and it took me to be a progressive and then be a nothing, an independent. And you know, it took me to do that to really see that we got the same problems on both sides of the aisle, really. You have conservatives who can't see when a right-wing person's an asshole. They can't see when a right-wing person is lying to them and using race and using all these tropes and stereotypes to gas things up. They don't get it. They can't see it. They can't see when somebody's phony conservative, right? They can't see it. And damn it, it's the same thing with progressives. Because if you are a progressive or a lefty person and you can't see through Zohran, dog, you can't see that. He's Kamala with more polish. You can't tell. You can't see that. Oh, my God. What's it going to take, family? What's it going to take? So this is all blown up. What's causing all this, Tim Black? Well, you know, there was a shooting in Manhattan, right? Recently, where a shooter, July 28th, where Officer Islam, a 36-year-old Bangladesh immigrant, his father of two, he was among the victims of a shooting. And this shooting in New York City has amplified everything about New York's police, everything about policing, everything about crime, all these issues. And just so happens, Zohran, the great Zohran, was somebody who was about 4 or 5 years ago saying he wanted to defund the police. So Cuomo and Adams have seized on this as an issue, right? And now Mamdani, as evidence in that clip, he's doing the flip-flop game now. Yeah, he's flip-flopping. He done switched from defund the police to we need more cops quicker than you can say hamburger helper. I mean, this guy, or pigs in a blanket, this guy ran to flip-flop and modulate his stances. Very quickly, Johnson. He went from defund the police to I love the New York Police Department. Quicker quicker than you can say Muriel poll numbers. For a reason, Johnson. The guy is a socialist superhero or just another political operative or politician playing both sides of the coin. He's doing exactly what people hated Kamala for doing. He's doing what AOC did. He's doing what Bernie did, who's doing what all of them do. They pretend to be progressive, and then they don't be progressive. Right now, people are looking at Trump with the same skepticism because they're like, hey, this guy said Epstein files, Epstein files, Epstein files. Then he gets in and he goes, what Epstein file? Why are you still asking? Why you dumb people asking about Epstein file? See, both sides do it. I know what it's like, man. I know what it's like. You think someone's on the level. I thought because Bernie got locked up being an activist in the 60s, that he hadn't changed in the 2000s. Then 50 years later, he'd be the same guy, and he's not. He is not. So what, he marched with King? So what if he got locked up trying to desegregate houses for black people? And there's video of it and pictures of him being locked up. But at the end of the day, he's been in politics a long time, and he says, you ain't going to be able to win doing that shit. So he switched his game. And I had to accept he was not who he was putting himself out to be. No matter how much I thought black people needed Medicare or some type of insurance, no matter how much I thought we needed a jobs program, at the end of the day, you're phony. So is Zohran. You have to accept what you have is what you have. You cannot wish it away. These people are who they are. To me, Zohran is just another iteration of what Bernie tried to be, what AOC tried to be. Now it's what Zohran's trying to be. And people desperate for somebody to speak their language, to hum the tune that they want to hear. But at the end of the day, when they get in, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? No. He just told you. So this is Zohran back when he was against police being in New York. He says, we don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. What we need is to defund the NYPD. He was very clear. But I did what New York City mayor uses budget tricks to keep as many cops as possible on the beat. He's talking about adding additional cops. Now, that ain't all. So it is what it is. You can't explain it away. Here was his entire tweet. No. We want to defund the police. He was playing, look guys, Zohran was doing, he was saying and doing what was needed to say at the time because it was expedient. The problem with that is, how do you know when he's not doing that now? How do you know who he really is? Yeah, people's opinions can change. Their politics can change over time. Mine has changed. My politics has changed over time. But I can tell you why. I can articulate for you why my politics changed. I got burnt by progressives. I got burnt by politicians I have interviewed, politicians I came to know who were Democrats. The progressive community burnt me because they didn't want to see. I believe that there are a lot of racism in progressive politics. Then, I always had problems with certain policies. I wanted Medicare for all, but I didn't want guns taken away. Guns are helpful. Only a person that doesn't live in an area where other people have guns will want people to get their guns taken. That's crazy. We got more guns than people in this country. So I've never agreed with all their policies. Right? So I can articulate to you, look, I give you my story, you know what it is. Zohran did not give a real explanation to why he moved back from defund the police, other than I was caught up in the rhetoric of George Floyd. What does that mean? That's not a reason. Maybe a reason for a child to say that, a teenager to say it, but for a grown-ass man to say it? You want to defund? Remember, Zohran worked as a politician. He was a state representative, state council, something, right? This guy is not city. He was a city politician. You cannot, don't act like you just some snot-nosed kids off the street, man. You had a job. How are you going to tell us that you didn't understand the ramifications of there being less police? If you believe it should be less police, say that shit. But don't say, oh, I just said that. I didn't know what got into me. I just was tripping. I took a strong pull of the bong, man, and I got tore, man. Yeah, man, I was flying high, man. I was flying, man. I was spacing, dude. I was tweaking, man. Oh, man, we got some sticky icky from our friend in Cali. And, man, we just all got loaded, man. Man, that's basically what he said. He had a euphoric moment. Black man getting killed. Oh, gotta defund everything. Really? That's how you make decisions? That's why you were tweeting that shit? That's all it took, man. I've been studying criminal justice, our justice system for the better part of 14 years, man. When I have critiques of our law enforcement, it ain't just because one person had an interaction. Zohran said he said that shit, he put out defund the police tweets because of George Floyd. I don't think that's why he did it. I think he did it because it was expedient. It was a way to be popular on the left. So now I don't know what to believe about this guy when it comes to policing. But believe this, there are black families in New York City that need safety. And they don't like the idea of defunding the police. See, it's all the ecosystem. They put something on the media, they play it a lot, they get people riled up. Then the news cycle runs a certain way. That don't necessarily mean the people are listening. Remember, we talked earlier. If you guys look at the beginning of the show, we're talking about the algorithm and how it will portray things that aren't true. You'll see things that aren't true. You'll believe things that aren't true based on the algorithm. It'll amplify something that in the real world just ain't that important to people. Like the Epstein files, really not that important to average people. Not like you think they would be. Because there are rings all around the country. There are trafficking. There's trafficking going on all over the country. Okay, not just Epstein who is dead. Okay, they're trying to make this. What I'm saying with Zohran is, you got to question the leadership. I think a leadership of someone who would do this in publicly. Like, if he was a genuine person, he wouldn't do the weak Obama. Look, man, I'm proud of black Americans because black Americans, by and large, don't buy him. They're not buying the fake sincere shit. Yeah, black Americans saw through him. And people say, well, why do black Americans like Adams or like Cuomo better? I don't know if they do. I think they did choose Cuomo more than they chose Zohran because they didn't sense something they sensed something was off with Zohran, and at least they know Cuomo. I think they're onto something with that. But I won't say I support Cuomo, though. I would never say that. But I will say I understand why people don't support and do not feel comfortable with Zohran. And this is just another reason not to. Can you trust a politician who switches from defund the police to support the police overnight? Yeah, if this never came up, if this police officer never gets shot and killed by this guy, remember this a couple of days ago. Guy goes in the building, kills 5 people, one of those a cop. I think he also killed a security guard. Kill people just doing their jobs. This becomes a flashpoint. Everybody's talking about it. Then put Zohran on the hot seat. Zohran has to respond to it. In the midst of that responding, then he backpedals. All I'm saying is if that never happened, he never responds, you don't know where he stands. Is he saying this? You can believe, but maybe he's saying this to stay alive. And it's more important because I hear some of you, I know some people watching and thinking, well, Tim, maybe he's just trying to save his political career. And he's much better than Cuomo or Adams or whoever else is running. And he's playing the game he has to play to get elected, Tim. I understand your theory. I get what you're saying, man. I used to say that same BS. I used to say that. Yeah, I used to say that. And then they say, Bernie, what is, then Bernie would say, I'm thinking, well, maybe Bernie's not supporting reparations because he can't get elected supporting it. Hey, but then to say he didn't even know what it was? What do you mean? What's reparations? What's that? I don't know. Like, hold on, man. That's too far, man. You don't even know what it means. The same shit Jewish folks got. What I mean by that to say, you cannot lie to yourself. You cannot lie to yourself. Lie to other people if you must, but lie to yourself never. I do believe we need to come up with a new way to police. I believe this has always been my theory, and I'm just going to say it. And if I ever ran for anything and I had any influence over policing, this is what I say. I'd say we need to pay policemen more money. We need to fire policemen quicker and pay good ones more. And I don't think any policeman that's a good policeman would disagree with me. That's right. Get rid of the garbage and pay more, a premium for the good. And get rid of the garbage. We need less cops. We need more pay. And fire them quicker. That's what I say. But see, Cuomo and Adams just want to hire more cops. They don't want to pay the ones they already have more who are good and get rid of the garbage. They just want to hire more people. There's going to be more bad cops. That's bad. So I don't like that either. So I'm not telling you, I'm not being critical of Zohran to boost Adams or Cuomo. I keep telling you, a lot of times there's no good picks. That's the problem. That's why we need more parties. That's why I was pushing for us to have more parties. Because if you only get to choose from this bunch, look, sometimes all the apples are rotten. You just want to have a glass of water instead. So it is what it is. The New York City mayoral race is wild. We don't know what's going to happen. I've seen it happen in Buffalo. Just because you won a Democratic primary don't mean anything, man. These people are ruthless. And this type of activity I think is Zohran trying to show it up so they don't do him. So they don't come for him, and they're going to come for him anyway. They're going to come harder. And now he's going to lose some base. Because not everybody is going to do all the mental gymnastics they got to do to make it acceptable for you to go back on what you stated in writing before you were running. We're not talking about mistaking something, misstating. We're not talking about a gaffe. We're not talking about saying something, oh, I didn't mean to say it like that. No. You thought it, you wrote it several times. I only got 2 of the tweets. He shared it with the world what he thought. And now he's unsharing it saying, well, that was then, this is now. All right. Stop thinking you got a savior. This shit don't exist. There are no saviors. That's why I say, Black America, we got to get our money right. Working class people, working class folks, we need to get our money right. That's how we keep score. That's what we got to do in America. Because you put your faith in politicians, no. You might as well just put your money, put your money in a shoebox under your friend's couch. Because, and then when your friend needs some money. All right, y'all. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section, man. Hit like on this if you like this segment. I got a feeling you could go a lot of places. You're not going to hear commentary like this. Bold, unapologetic, and real. Is Zohran the real deal, or is he just another shield? But this time for the left, saying what lefties want him to say. You decide. Give me a 0 if you think he's not. Give me a 1 if you think he is.
The Tim Black Show streams Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wolfpack.